A YouTube channel called Boo731 quietly appeared online around 2010. The opening video was completely innocent. The creator was simply showing off a Halloween costume he'd put together. It had the feel of a casual personal channel, the kind where someone shares bits of their everyday life. Then the channel went dark for almost a year. When he returned, everything about it had changed. The video he came back with was called My Stalker. It starts in a parking lot, location kept private, with on-screen text giving context to what's happening. From there, it cuts directly into a recorded face-to-face confrontation between the creator and the individual who had been following him around.
You followed me to my car a lot. How does that not make me uncomfortable?
I thought we were good friends. I thought we were like, okay, if we're not friends, at least we were talking before, and you didn't think that we, I just don't know.
I tried to put aside my feelings. I tried to be a good guy. I tried to talk to you. And the conversations we had, I felt like they went nowhere. There weren't things I wanted to talk about, and so I'm done talking.
Because you never reciprocate.
There's nothing interesting that you had to talk about.
Well, well, reciprocate and ask me questions. And
I'm not interested. I was never interested.
Why?
Because I don't like you.
Why can't you expand your cultural diversity and just, like...
Cultural diversity?
Why don't you expand your friendships? Not just more than, have you know any Filipino?
Yes, I went to school with one, yes.
Okay.
I know a Filipino, I know a gay guy.
Okay.
My cultural diversity is pretty expansive.
Okay, so with that in mind, why don't you give me a chance? I can.
Because I'm not giving you a chance because you're Filipino.
No. Why don't you give me a chance? Not just, not being a...
You being a Filipino doesn't have anything to do with it. You being gay doesn't have anything to do with it. I don't care. I just don't like your presence. You make me uncomfortable. A Filipino friend doesn't make me uncomfortable. My gay friend doesn't make me uncomfortable.
Well, tell me, what makes them not make you uncomfortable?
The fact that we started having conversations and that we liked each other and that we were friends. We started having conversations, you and I didn't really get the vibe. I didn't really feel like we could be friends.
Why?
Because I don't like you because you made me uncomfortable from day one.
Why did you just... Well, did you just want me not to talk before?
I was fine with you not talking before, yes.
Well, how could you develop friendships like that? See,
for people who doesn't make me uncomfortable right off the bat.
The thing is, I want to develop friendships with people that I don't know, and I've met you, and I think that we, we can be acquaintances. I can say hello once in a while.
Yes, but following me to my car is not saying hello once in a while. Following me from train to train as I get off to try and avoid you is not saying hello once in a while.
Well, I can't help it.
It's creepy.
What makes you... I don't want you to feel that way.
What the conversation makes clear almost immediately is that this person has been tracking him for a while, trailing him from one train car to the next, following him all the way to his vehicle, pushing for interaction every step of the way. The creator isn't vague about how he feels. He tells the man straight up that his behavior is making him uncomfortable, that none of it is welcome, and that it needs to stop. But the stalker isn't processing it that way.
Look, if the situation was I was a girl and you were a guy following around, there would be police all over this place. You would be in jail. Do you think that's true?
I know.
Okay, so the situation is you're following me, whether I'm a girl or a guy. You're following me from train car to my car. It's the same thing.
But I can't help myself not following you. For some reason, I can't. Adam, I can't. I don't...
How about you try? You try real hard.
How?
Not follow me. Just walk to your car. Don't walk to my car. Don't try and have a conversation with me from all the way from the train to my car with me not saying a damn word. Maybe get the hint that I don't want to talk to you.
I won't bother you anymore talking to you. But I will say hi to you once in a while. Okay.
All right.
Have a nice day.
He keeps reframing the whole thing, talking about connection, about friendship, about giving people a real chance. Every time the creator shuts one angle down, he pivots to another, and then, when there's nowhere left to pivot, he says something that shifts the entire atmosphere of the video. He tells the creator that he can't stop himself from following him. Not that he's sorry, not that he'll try to do better. He genuinely says he cannot help it. He later uploads more footage, likely to build a documented record of what's been happening. It shows the stalker is still at it, still showing up, still following. So the creator starts adapting. He begins waiting until the very last possible second before train doors close, then making a run for a different car, trying to shake him. It works sometimes, but not always.
And I have moved train cars. And what do we see?
Eventually, the situation reaches a breaking point inside a crowded train car. The creator speaks up in front of everyone, calls out what's been happening right there in public.
I'll just stay on the train track. I'm going to stay on the train. Yeah, that's good. Get on. Stay on. Gerard, stay on the fucking train. Stop following me. Sit down and stop following me. Sit down and stop following me. We're going. Sit down. We're going. Sit down. Can you get him to stop following me, please?
Okay, somebody to get off the train and somebody to stay on. Why are you following him?
I don't know.
Okay, do you want to wait for the next train? You hold the train up. Step off for a second, sir.
I'll go.
Well, come up here.
Other passengers get involved. Transit staff step in. The stalker gets physically held back. After that, he goes to the police. A later update confirms it worked. Once law enforcement got involved, the stalking stopped entirely. The creator notes there were incidents that never made it to camera, but thankfully none of them turned physical. The channel has been silent ever since. He made it out safely, but the footage he left behind is a sobering reminder of how real this kind of situation can get. When dealing with someone like this, clear and unambiguous rejection is essential. Stalkers often misinterpret polite or soft responses as an open door. If you think you're being followed on public transit, switching cars at the absolute last second before the doors close can break their ability to keep up with you. And if things escalate in a public space, don't stay quiet. Loudly calling out the behavior in front of witnesses puts the aggressor under immediate pressure and forces them to back down. On May 31st, 2013, sirens were ringing out across El Reno, Oklahoma. Meteorologists had been tracking a storm system with the potential to generate a multi-vortex tornado, the kind of event that, as bad as it is for the people in its path, draws experienced storm chasers from hundreds of miles away. One of the teams that responded was made up of 3 men with serious credentials. Tim Samaras was 55, a veteran chaser who had spent years developing and deploying scientific instruments directly inside tornado paths to capture data that couldn't be gathered any other way. His son Paul, 24, had grown up in that world alongside him. Their partner, Carl Young, 45, rounded out a crew that had worked together across multiple seasons, including several years as part of the Discovery Channel's Storm Chaser series. They hadn't just showed up that day on instinct. The trio had actually been in the area for several days beforehand, carefully studying the developing conditions before making their move.
Oh, I'd say this is the one.
Oh yeah. This is going to be the storm of the day right here. This is going to do it, I think.
The tornado came down around 6 p.m., initially rated as an EF3. Dangerous, but well within the range of what this team had navigated before. They took up a parallel position at what they calculated to be a safe observational distance. Then the storm stopped behaving the way storms are supposed to behave. It intensified far beyond what anyone had anticipated. An EF3 became an EF5, and even calling it that barely scratches the surface of what was unfolding. The El Reno tornado kept expanding until it reached a width of 2.6 miles across, a figure that remains the largest tornado width ever documented in recorded history. Its winds were measured at 313 miles per hour. The three of them were holding their parallel position when the twister abruptly changed course and came directly at them. They did everything they could. It wasn't enough. After the storm moved through, search teams found their vehicle crushed to roughly 60% of its original dimensions. Tim was still inside, strapped to his seat. Paul and Carl were found separately, each about half a mile away from the car in opposite directions. None of them survived. Among the debris, searchers recovered a camera that was somehow still running. The footage on it captured the team's final moments, but has never been released publicly. Their close friend Gabe Garfield was among the few who viewed it. He recalled that the recording picked up Carl, noting how strange and still the air around them had become just before the end, and Tim quietly responding that they were in a bad spot. His last words were simply, "We're going to die." Their story remains one of the most powerful warnings ever documented about the true nature of these storms. No level of experience makes an EF5 predictable. Sudden shifts in direction and rapid size expansion can happen faster than any team can react. If you're ever caught in a vehicle with debris already striking the car, don't try to outrun it. Pull over, stay buckled, get below the window line, and cover your head with whatever you have. And if you can safely reach a low-lying ditch away from the vehicle, get there and lie flat, keeping as much distance from the car as possible, since a tornado of that strength turns it into a projectile. A traveling salesman on an overseas work trip ended up recording something he still can't fully explain. The footage made its way to a YouTube channel called Fourth Wall. Because of COVID-19 protocols at the time, he was required to self-quarantine alone in a hotel room for a full 7 days. No outside contact, no visitors, just him and four walls. By the second night, the room had already started to feel wrong. He was in the middle of a video call with a friend when a knock came at the door. He went to check, nothing. The hallway was completely empty. It happened again.
また聞こえたね。
また
今、録画してるまだ。
してる。何してんのその強盗とかだったらやばいんじゃない証拠ちょっとフリーズしてるけど、証拠取れなくない大丈夫。いないじゃん。誰もいない。
誰もいないし。
おう。
いいだろ。
前の部屋のやつがなんかいたずらでやってんじゃない
His friend figured it was probably someone at the wrong room. They moved on, shared a joke about the place being haunted, and he eventually went to sleep. But later that same night, it happened again. He tried to get it on camera, and the moment he hit record, the knocking stopped. The following day, he decided to stay ready. When the knock came, he was at the door in seconds. He opened it to find the corridor empty in both directions. That's when the doubt started creeping in. It kept happening. Then, one night it escalated. He heard the knock, went to the door, opened it to nothing. And when he turned back around, every interior door in the room was hanging wide open. The bathroom, the closet, all of them, silently in the few seconds his back was turned. That moment genuinely unsettled him in a way the knocking alone hadn't.
Really?
The sixth night was when things got the most disturbing. He'd set up his laptop to record while he slept and added a second camera to cover the rest of the room. He was woken up by knocking again, went to the door, found the hallway empty as always. But reviewing the second camera's footage the next morning, he spotted something he had completely missed while it was happening. A bottle, sitting on a flat, dry surface, had slowly drifted on its own and eventually tipped off the edge. He checked out the next day. He still has no clean explanation for what went on in that room. There are a couple of things worth understanding here. Infrasound, sound frequencies below what the human ear can detect, commonly produced by large ventilation systems or pressurized pipes in hotel buildings, can generate subtle vibrations capable of moving lightweight objects across smooth surfaces. It's a real and documented phenomenon. On top of that, extended isolation like a 7-day quarantine can genuinely distort perception, sometimes producing auditory experiences or unusual sensory responses that feel completely real. Whether those explanations account for everything in this footage is hard to say. But if you ever feel unsafe in a hotel room, document what's happening and take it to staff. Request a room change or ask them to review the security footage from your hallway. That's always an option available to you. On August 15th, 1989, a family of 3 was traveling along Interstate 205 near Stockton, California, when their car overheated and gave out on the side of the road. The father checked under the hood and quickly realized this wasn't something he could handle alone. He left his wife with the car and headed off on foot with his young son to track down a payphone. Walking along the shoulder, the boy noticed a camouflage jacket that had been left behind in the brush. He went over to look and found an unmarked VHS tape inside one of the pockets. They took it home, and eventually they put it in the player. The full, unedited footage has never been publicly released, but portions have been pieced together from various sources over the years. It opens with a camera fixed on an enormous fire burning against a night sky and a voice coming from behind the lens, calm, deliberate, and deeply off-putting.
Look at it. Look at the fire. This is my domain. Mine.
The man speaks about the fire in grandiose terms, calling it his domain, his personal hell, going on in a way that makes it immediately apparent this wasn't an accident he stumbled across. When the camera pulls back, the subject of the fire becomes clear. A large residential structure, still mid-construction, completely consumed by flames.
The fire department's trying to put it out. What a laugh. I gotta go now. But remember me. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Your house is next!
As the video continues, fire trucks can be heard arriving in the background. The cameraman acknowledges them with contempt. Then, before the footage cuts abruptly to a scene from a 1984 horror film, he delivers a direct message to whoever ends up watching, reminding them of his name and telling them their house is next. The family brought the tape straight to law enforcement. Detectives returned to the stretch of highway and found exactly what the family described. The jacket still there, surrounded by a wooden pestle, a glove, a heavy metal cassette, and a ceramic skull. The footage left investigators visibly shaken. One of them admitted afterward that it had stayed with him when he tried to go to sleep that night. But the shaky, poorly lit nature of the recording made it impossible to pin down where the fire had occurred, even after extensive frame-by-frame review. The case had no clear direction. That changed in September of 1990 when the story was featured on Unsolved Mysteries. Within 2 hours of the broadcast, investigators had fielded more than 1,000 tips from viewers. One call came from a man named Ed Tarantino, who recognized the footage without hesitation, because he'd lived right beside that burning house. It turned out to be a property in Redwood City, California, roughly 80 miles from where the tape had been found. The homeowner, Bill Otherly, was also identified through the episode. He confirmed immediately that it was his home on the tape and described a loss of $900,000, somewhere in the range of $2.5 million by today's standards. A separate tip led investigators to a 17-year-old named Omar.
Look at it, Omar. This is what I've been doing on your week's vacation. I said I'll do it. I said I'll do it.
When brought in, he gave them almost everything right away. He'd been off camera during the filming, and it was his 19-year-old friend who had set the fire and recorded it. Police began surveilling the older suspect. Shortly after, his garage burned down, a sign he may have gotten wind of the monitoring. They moved in on September 27, 1990, confronted him directly, and he confessed. What came out of the subsequent search was far more disturbing than investigators had prepared for. The two boys were connected to not just the Redwood City fire, but to 11 additional structural arsons and 15 separate grass fires. In the ruins of the garage, they found bloody knives and mutilated animal remains. Home recordings showed the older suspect in satanic costuming threatening a humanoid figure. And in one particularly telling clip, the two of them stood in an open field while he pointed the camera at the surrounding land and announced they were going to finish the job. That land was being converted into a residential development. Their motive was a violent, escalating opposition to housing expansion in the area. The graffiti reading, "Please no more houses," found at one of the targeted sites, left little room for interpretation. Both were minors at the time, so both were processed through the juvenile system. Omar went to a detention facility. The older of the two was assessed as mentally unfit and placed in a psychiatric institution. What became of either of them in the years that followed has never been confirmed. Homes under active construction are among the most exposed targets for arson. No sprinkler systems, no sealed walls to slow a fire, and usually very little security presence. If you're managing a build site, temporary solar-powered cameras, motion-activated lighting, and perimeter fencing can significantly reduce your exposure. And if you ever come across abandoned physical media, a tape, a drive, anything that appears to contain criminal activity or threats, don't post it anywhere online. Hand it directly to law enforcement. In 2001, somewhere in Redlands, California, a video began circulating that claimed to show a demonic figure inside a building called Barton Villa, a property that still carries historic recognition in the area today. The footage predated YouTube entirely, but it spread rapidly through early internet channels and built up a significant following online. The recording runs for roughly 20 minutes and follows a group of friends as they explore the abandoned Barton mansion, which by that point had been sitting empty and deteriorating for years. They begin outside, walking the grounds as darkness falls before deciding to go in. For the first portion of the footage, nothing particularly unusual happens, just a group moving through a decaying space, narrating what they see. That changes when they reach the second floor.
What the hell's that? Down on the floor. Right there.
Get in. Oh, go. Hit the gas. Go. Swear to God. Fuck. Go. No.
Someone's in there?
Swear to God. Swear to God.
Oh shit.
Hell yeah.
You guys are lying.
We're not kidding. No.
Go left. Go. Hit the gas and go.
I can't see your freaking camera in my way.
Oh, fuck.
You guys are lying. Someone help.
No.
Something is standing in one of the rooms. The silhouette is tall, startlingly, unnaturally tall, tall enough that it has to visibly lower its head to pass beneath a standard interior door frame. It appears to be carrying something that looks like a lantern. The group takes one look and runs. There's no deliberation, no attempt to investigate further. Just immediate, full-speed retreat out of the building and off the property. Beyond that, buildings like this are regularly occupied by people who aren't supposed to be there and who aren't expecting company. Entering a restricted historic property is trespassing under the law. Full stop. And if you walk in and encounter someone you don't recognize, the right move isn't to confront them or keep the camera rolling. It's to get out immediately and let authorities handle it. An unknown user uploaded a series of deeply unsettling videos to a channel called Dark Parallels, and then vanished from the platform entirely. The channel has exactly 5 videos on it, no updates, no explanation for the silence, just 5 uploads and then nothing. The first one is titled First Paranormal Experience. According to the description, the person behind the camera had already moved out of their home by the time they started filming, driven out by a series of events they couldn't make sense of. The footage was captured during a return visit to pick up some of the belongings they'd left behind. What specifically pushed them to leave in the first place isn't spelled out, but it becomes easier to understand as the videos continue. The second video documents another trip back to the house to collect more of their things. The atmosphere is immediately uncomfortable. At one point, it feels unmistakably like something is positioned just behind a closed interior door. And whatever it is, the uploader doesn't open it. The visit ends there. The third video comes after a neighbor reaches out to report hearing strange sounds coming from inside the property. The uploader returns to check the perimeter, test the doors and windows, and try to find a rational source for what's been heard. They work through a few explanations, maybe an animal got in somehow, but the more they listen, the harder that explanation is to maintain. They go back one final time with a plan. They set up an action camera inside the house and leave it recording overnight. In the last video, they return the next day to pull the footage. What they find on that recording visibly shakes them. The specific content of what the camera captured is never described directly, but their reaction makes it clear that whatever it picked up wasn't nothing. After that, the channel goes quiet. No follow-up, no closure, just 5 videos, and then an absence that's never been explained. If you've already left a home because something felt wrong and noises are still being reported from inside, do not go back in alone to look around or film it. That situation needs to be treated as an active intrusion. Pull back to somewhere safe, your car, a neighbor's house, anywhere removed from the property, and contact the authorities so they can do a proper sweep of the building.